In this episode, we're focusing on the patient's perspective on our stroke care. I'm here with Orin Thomas.
Good afternoon, Dr. Law.
Hi, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Thanks to you, I'm pretty good.
So, I'm just looking at you right now, and I would have never have guessed you being a stroke patient.
Right.
And it's just absolutely remarkable. And I really want you to share your story from what happened from the beginning of your symptoms all the way to now.
Okay. Well, first I want to thank you. I've been looking at a lot of Superman, so you're like my superwoman in my eyes, right? Because of you, a lot of people don't even realize I've had a stroke, And let me explain. I'm Orin Thomas. I'm 41 years old. I have a bachelor's in electrical engineering. I own my own electrical company. I'm a world touring DJ. I do a little everything entrepreneur person, as they would say. And about January 22nd has to be described as the worst day of my life. And the reason why I describe it as the worst day of my life is because up until this point, I didn't realize that I could have died. I was home, I came from playing a party, and you get in your weird hours, you're accustomed to not sleeping after doing this for so many years. And I woke up at about 11 o'clock from going to sleep at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. My wife woke me up, and probably 15 minutes after she woke me up, I experienced this sharp pain from my sinus all the way to the back of my head. At this point, I didn't know what was going on. I just figured it was a sinus headache. I've never been majorly hospitalized, doc. I've never been, of course I do my 6 months regular checkup with my primary care doctor, but I've been healthy. I'm in the gym 4 days out the week. I've recently lost a lot of weight. So I thought that this pain I was feeling was just a sinus headache. At that point, I took a nasal spray. That didn't work. This headache was still there. My wife gave me ibuprofen. That subsided it a little. And it subsided to a point where I didn't feel it as bad as it was prior. But then my body started feeling bad, No, prior to that, I was hungry. So while this happened, I made a sandwich. Everything was good. I ate.
Eating is important.
It is, thank you.
Yeah,
And I ate the sandwich, and then after I ate the sandwich and I sat down, I didn't start feeling too hot anymore. Some other things started feeling tired. I started feeling like I got up and my balance was a little bit off, but it wasn't severe off. I just figured, hey, I need a little sleep. And then the symptoms went on. So this happened at about 11 a.m. now. So we're now about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I wake up and I'm feeling horrible. So I worked during the week, and the site that I worked on, some people had the flu. So I just figured, hey, I caught the bug. I'm suffering from the flu. And something really traumatic to me, which is common to most people, is I started feeling nauseous. I haven't thrown up since I was 9 years old. So that's why I don't do a lot of drinking or anything to upset my stomach, because I do not like throwing up. 3 times later after throwing up, I realized, okay, this flu really has me. Trying to make it to the bathroom each time became more and more of a chore. But I didn't pay that no mind. I'm a fighter. You know what I'm saying? That, hey, I could get through this. But the last time that I went, I realized that I was knocking things over on the way to the bathroom, but you're not really in the moment. I'm just feeling so horrible. My body's feeling bad. I'm under the assumption I'm under the flu, not realizing that I'm having a stroke. I then said, okay, I can't do any more throwing up. I didn't want my wife, them to see that because, I'm the consummate alpha, so I'm the leader of my house. In the middle of having a stroke, I cleaned it up, but I started feeling nauseous again. So I literally got down into my underwear and I lied on the cool floor. That is my remedy, because the cool floor takes away the clamminess. Then I realized something's not really right. So I started calling my wife and I said, babe, please come home. Something doesn't feel right. I've never called her and said that. So she wasn't alerted to it. She just figured, okay, she was doing something with my daughter. Okay, so hours pass now. When she finally comes home and she sees the condition that I'm in, where I'm slumped over in the couch, you could see the look of concern in her face. And I said, babe, it's just the flu. Don't worry about it. She's trying to get me to get something to eat. She's trying to rush me. Hey, let's go to the hospital. No, I am not going to the hospital for a flu. That's definitely not gonna happen. She says, but what if it's worse than that? Nah, babe, don't worry about it. What made me actually decide to go to the hospital now was 5 o'clock in the morning. So now we're at 11 a.m. This is Saturday, 5 o'clock Sunday morning, which I know Dr. Law don't kill me. I tried to get up to use the bathroom and I couldn't get up.
Wow.
And I had to call my daughter to come and help me to the bathroom. Now, this was very traumatic for me because I've never been in this situation and I really didn't want my daughter to see me that way. So it got emotional. And as I'm walking to the bathroom, I started crying and she's like, don't worry, big guy. You know, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. And I go to the bathroom and I live in Bushwick, so I knew at the time that I didn't want to go to any of my neighboring hospitals because I just wasn't secure in their care. I didn't feel confident in it.
Okay.
So I called my father who lives in Long Island. Now, usually it takes Daddy 30 minutes to get by me. He got there in 19 minutes.
Whoa.
Right? 19 minutes he got to me. So he gets there and my wife says, do you want to take a shower? Because you don't know how long you're going to end up being in the hospital. You don't know what the situation. I said, sure. So, you know, I stood up. I had to lean to take the shower. This time I'm being assisted by my wife and my daughter because I really can't. I'm walking like a stroke patient. It feels like someone is pulling me to the ground. I can't straighten the leg to walk like I can continuously walk. It's more like the left leg now is like in a pulling motion.
You had some really bad weakness.
I did. And I didn't even realize that was the definition of it. I just figured I was just going through something, you know? My dad pulls up and me still fighting that something severe has happened. He calls back and he says, you know, what's taking you so long? I said, Pop, I'm a little compromised right now. He didn't understand what I meant.
Yeah.
When we get down the stairs now, I see my father's whole complexion change. When he saw
was wrong.
the way I was walking. I'm in denial about this. Now, I've seen what a stroke patient looks like, and I'm seeing the way that I walk, but I really did not want to alarm my daughter, and I didn't want to alarm my wife or my father, so I'm just playing it cool, trying to get to the hospital. I've never had car sickness. I've never had vertigo. The ride from my house to Kings County seemed like the longest ride ever because it's like nauseating the whole ride. Everything is spinning.
Wow.
When we finally get here now, and admitting they're asking in the emergency room what's wrong, I finally said to them, I think I had a stroke. Now, this is the miraculous part here. I whispered it. The person admitting said, what? I said, I think I had a stroke. My wife went numb. My dad looks at me crazy. And they put me in the back. We're going to the back now. It went from one doctor to like 30. Now, before they said that, they told me, Mr. Thomas, you know, don't get scared, but a lot of people are about to come around you. And I'm like, a lot of people, a lot of people about to come around me. Yeah, boom, blink. Now, I must say, when I saw the triage nurse, I'm fighting nausea. So I'm trying to take my clothes off because the heat is bothering me. It's making me nauseous, you know? And then next thing, they took me out and I'm in a bed and then 30 doctors are literally around me. Everybody's testing me, okay? I want you to smile for me, sure. I want you to put your fingers to, sure. Can you feel me pushing you now? Sure. I want you to push back. I don't want to hurt you. Don't worry about it. Hurt me, Mr. Thomas. I said, okay, no problem. They took me up. I did my scans. I don't want to say which scans. I don't know which, I still don't know them by their name, but I went under machines and they're trying to see what's going on with my brain and my body.
We did a CAT scan of your head and we looked at your blood vessels because you were such a young patient.
Right.
We had to make sure that there was no clot that we see.
Right.
Even though that the time that you start having symptoms to the time of arrival was longer than most expected.
Right.
We wanted to make sure that we explored every avenue of any type of intervention that you were a candidate for.
Within an hour and a half, I was already in a bed.
We pull our patients upstairs from the ED, and it's because stroke patients can quickly evolve and they can get worse. And that's the whole purpose of admitting a stroke patient in the hospital, is that there's times where the patient can get worse, and especially young patients.
Right. You
had a very serious condition occurring to you.
I did.
And wow, thank you so much for just sharing your story. And
it's the truth, man. But I must say too, trust is a great thing with a patient-doctor's relation. It's the way that your doctor deals with you, right? Dr. Law, you dealt with me like I was your brother. There was no stone you left unturned. You did every test that you could have done to make sure not only was I not to ever have a stroke again or to fix the problem, but you want to make sure you wanted to cure everything that was wrong with me. I didn't know what a hematologist was, from an oncologist to a urologist and to an endocrinologist or a neurologist, like what you were, but now I know the many facets of what they are, because you literally said, okay, I'm gonna have you meet this person, this person, this person. We need to make sure you're 100% okay.
Well, the average age of stroke, at least in the community that we serve here,
Right.
is age 66 years old. Now, the average age of stroke across the nation is around 70.
Wow.
And you are 41 years old.
That's crazy, right?
Which is, it's crazy. And especially you are working.
Right.
And to retain any type of function for you to make sure that your disability is minimized is truly our prime objective whenever someone comes in for a stroke patient, especially younger patients.
Right.
I would like to ask you if you can talk to yourself. You're 41 now, but
Yes.
talk to 1 year before this happened.
Right.
What would you tell yourself?
Buckle up. It's going to be a crazy ride, because I would have never anticipated that it would have reached that extreme of me having a stroke. I mean, you hear stroke, but when you go through it, you know, you don't realize it's a near-death experience. And I know, Dr. Law, you wanted to kill me, because when I told you what time I had my first symptom to the time I checked in, you looked at me like I could punch you. I get it, but I never knew the severity of what that was. I did not know that at this age, something like this could happen to me. And the crazy part of the condition is I didn't realize, because I'm in the gym and I've lost the weight, so I figured that I was in a place where, you know, this couldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
You know, so I have to apologize. Let me apologize to my 41-year-old self. Yeah, I'm sorry. You should have been more attentive. And I'm not afraid of doctors. I'm not afraid to go to the hospital. I just didn't know the severity of the situation.
Yeah, and I think that denial is a really strong thing.
It is.
And who would have guessed that someone as young as you would have a stroke? And it's typically, majority of the patients who do come to our hospital don't come in on time.
Right.
We have a time limit of when to give a very special medication, which is within 4.5 hours or 4.5 hours
Right.
of their symptoms.
Right.
And they qualify for a very specific medication. And ironically, only 4% of the patient population can get access to that medication.
Because of the time they come in.
Yeah.
And I've lost a lot of people through brain aneurysm, stroke. So that's why I thank you. You are my superwoman, because you saved me. Every step of the way, no matter what news was good or bad, you delivered it. I could see the sincerity in your face. Even when it was bad news and you would come to me, I could see it in your face, and I'm like, okay, let me brace myself for it. But the way you delivered it, it kind of cushioned the blow. That's what I would like to express that I've gained from this experience. It's a different trust for a doctor. I trust you, Dr. Law.
Oh, thank you.
I trust you. And I don't trust a lot of people.
Well, you have the information now. What are you going to do about it?
Well, I've already, I've expanded on changing my diet. I'm looking for symptoms as even when I get up every day, you know, I'm checking my balance, walking a straight line, making sure everything is good. Because the little things that I took for granted was actually taken away from me. So through physical therapy, now I can do that. My balance is still somewhat affected, but it's getting there. It's a lot better than it was a month ago, because when I came in your office and tried to walk a straight line, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But I can do that now. Looking for the signs, taking everything a little more serious. If I see signs now, like, you know, my balance is off, if I feel the pulling, if I feel a severe headache, not a ice pick headache, you know, because I even did come back a couple of weeks after because I felt ice pick headaches, which I now know is common standard from stroke survivors, you know,
Yes.
So things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? And keeping up with the doctors as well, too. you know, and how not keeping my sugars under control, not keeping my cholesterol under control, not keeping my pressure under control are all placebos for making this stroke rise again. Because I do know within the 6-month window of me having the stroke, I can relapse if I do not take it seriously.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, for coming in and just speaking your truth, speaking about what happened to you, because I think that it's going to reach a lot of people's ears and the audience to truly appreciate that stroke can affect anyone, and that it's all about being in the right place and right time. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for helping me. I appreciate you and everyone in Kings County.